Hi, welcome to my space. I hope we are all keeping safe, especially at this time of social distancing. We thank God for good health while we pray that God heals our world. Taa, okwu anyị nwere bụ ife maka asị ka sụọ n'Igbo maka na okwu ụmụnna na ụmụnne ka a na-ekwu. Nevertheless, let us have this conversation in a language almost everyone can understand. So I want to start by sharing something I learned from my father while growing up. I remember whenever my siblings and I invite a new friend home, my dad would welcome the person. The next question that would follow would be, Onye mologi, Onye ebe kebo. It means, where are you from and who are your parents? I used to find these questions or interrogation, like I call it back then, very, very annoying and embarrassing until one day I said to him, why do you always ask such questions all the time? My dad said that in the Igbo society, we ask such questions to determine if the person is of good stock and character. It taught me that by answering those questions, the person is somehow sharing his or her family history. But these days, we hardly ask such questions. Maybe we think they don't matter anymore, forgetting that before we can make progress in life, you need to first of all come to the knowing and understanding of who you are. So I ask you, Onye Kebo, do you know your family history? And do you know your ancestral values? If you do, write them down. My topic is Igbo storytelling, disruptions in the transfer of values. I'll start by explaining what our values are, some of them, what it means to us as Ndi Igbo, and how it is important that we bring it back to our society. So, what is storytelling? Storytelling in this context, the Igbo traditional storytelling or Africa storytelling, because the Igbo nation is a part of Africa. And I think that this topic concerns all of us so far you have an African heritage. Storytelling is about sharing knowledge, culture, experiences, languages, giving information or communicating history and ancestral knowledge to a person or group of persons. It can also be used to preserve the dignity of a people. While values are principles or belief systems that guide a person or group of persons, every culture, every country and tribe have some set of values guiding them. In the Igbo society, we have some values that we are supposed to abide by, and when people go against such values, it could be said that they have committed an abomination, that is a taboo, alo. Most especially those values that are rated very high, like killing, stealing, rape, and many others. On the other hand, we need to understand that what we may consider as our values may not be other people's way of life. What we may call an abomination may not be an abomination in other places, although most values are the same globally. For example, almost every culture speaks against rape, killing, and stealing. In the Igbo cosmology, these values are handed down to us by our parents, elders, and ancestors through oral tradition from generation to generation. They are transferred in form of stories, folklores, proverbs, idioms, music, and poems. So storytelling is something that has been a part of the Igbo people. For example, the story of Mbe na Ukoyibo, that is the tortoise and the hare, which teaches about commitment and perseverance, or Wanyaiga, the proud woman, that teaches a lesson in humility. The Igbo have always used these stories to train, educate, inculcate values and principles to our people. And the lessons gleaned from them help the people to lead a decent life. And one interesting thing about the Igbo style of storytelling is that our grandparents have a way of weaving music and poem into it, which we are made or even forced to recite and memorize. Memorizing them made us remember the morals embedded in these stories, and we are expected to live right. Sometimes proverbs, that is inu, is used to convey some of these lessons. That's why the legend Chinua Achebe said that inu bụ mmanụ ndị Igbo ji eli nri. It means that proverbs are the palm oil which add flavor to Igbo words. In those days, people take pride in decoding proverbs because it's considered a respected way of communication. The understanding of it leads to a deep knowledge of the Igbo philosophy. It is seen as a communication for the wise and with the wise. So our fathers, our forefathers used to convey deep secrets and some wisdom and other things through these proverbs. And when you unwrap them, you find morals and ethics within. That is, odika onye tiwale akwa oyibo nsuwe. It means it will feel as if one has discovered a hidden treasure. There is a saying in Igbo that goes like this: Atụọlụ gị inu kọwalụ gị a, achọọ m nna gị mụrụ gị. It means that when you are giving a message in Proverbs and you don't understand, the people around you will then question if you are indeed the true child of your father. Because of that, people go out of their way to learn. I think that this helped shape the older generation. I mean, the people born before the war. So the Igbo placed a premium on their values and their culture and way of living. Our ancestors hope that these values will be kept alive. Unfortunately, the present generation, that is my generation, seems to have done that which is unique to us, our traditions and cultural heritage, to embrace the Western culture. There is nothing wrong with learning from other people's way of living because somehow we are all connected. What is wrong is throwing away your values, adopting the wrong ones, and passing it on to our children. What that implies is that few years down the line, our history and traditions will be lost, and we are gradually losing them. Let me give you an example. Some Nollywood films will show an Igwe raping a lady or an Igbo prince raping a virgin. What they have failed to understand is that rape is abhorred in Igbo land. Onewalo Kobu. It is an abomination that has dire consequences. And rape is a learned behavior in Igbo culture. Oyive amụtala amụta. Ndị Igbo anara adakpu nwanyị n'oge gboo at all. Now, when rape is committed in Igbo land or anywhere for that matter, the offender, that is, so far the person is an Igbo son, has brought a curse not only upon himself, but also on his entire generation and sometimes upon his community. That's why some villages in the East punish the offenders by banishing them. But these days, we see such taboos on our TV screen, and our children watch these things, digest them, and believe it represents us. And this has to stop. Another value that has hit the rocks in the Igbo society is that of killing, stealing, and corruption for wealth, the quest for quick money. Ndị Igbo si na ọkpụ ụzụ na-amara akpụ ogene na-egbe anya n'ọdụ. It means that the blacksmith who does not know how to fashion a metal gong should take a look at the tail of a kite. These proverbs connects one to the need of having a mentor or looking at the people who have gone ahead of them for inspiration. I believe that if proverbs like this are reintroduced in the Igbo way of life, we can use it to re-educate our young men and women on the need to rely on hard work for success and also learn from the professionals around them. It is important we know that some of these vices are taboos, which hinders growth and development. But these days, you see people of questionable means and character return to the village and manipulate the custodians of the land to award them chieftaincy titles. At the end of the day, they call themselves role models, and our children are exposed to them. It then becomes a cycle, and the only way to end it is by making deliberate efforts to reintroduce Igbo storytelling in our schools and communities. And this is where we need the help of the elders and town unions. Another issue is that of religion. Before the coming of the white man, Ndi Igbo had their unique religion, which is called Ordinana. Our forefathers practiced this Ordinana religion. Ordinana hinged their belief in God, that is Chukwu, the supreme being. It is said that Ordinana is actually linked to Igbo cultural behavior, and this really helped influence the way affairs were conducted in the past. My grandfather told me that then you can hardly find people commit crime because of Ordinana. But with the coming of the white man, they gave us the option of Christianity, mainly Catholic and Anglican, which our people welcomed. After accepting Christianity, we still gave leeway to other religions, and this has led to the demoralization of our youth. The more the acquired religion, the more the loss of values. It's strange when you hear things like, oh, nke a bụ nke anyị, nke a bụ nke anyị, it means this is our own. How? Ọ bụrụ nke anyị, ọ ive anyị satara asata, Igbo anara agba nsọpụ. So I think most of these values we are talking about were actually disrupted when Ndi Igbo adopted the wrong doctrines. Let's quickly look at the issue of language. Ndi Igbo anarazi asụ Igbo. Language is very important to a person's identity. So our language must be revived and preserved at all costs. Because when you lose your language, how do you then expect values or traditions to be transferred to you? Some Igbo words cannot be conveyed in English because when you try to do that, it loses its true meaning. And I think that one of the reasons, we are fast losing our culture is that many people do not understand or know how to speak Igbo language, or maybe they lost it along the way. I also think it can be corrected if families, make an effort to speak Igbo in their homes or enroll their children in Igbo classes. Chioma Mbanefo, Yvonne, is doing a good job there. Call her. In fact, ihe anyị na-ekwu kịta ka Igbo na Igbo ka a na-asụ ya maka nọọ Igbo conference, mana nsụba sọ n'Igbo ụfọdụ ama nghọta. I just said that I am supposed to be speaking in the Igbo language because this is an Igbo virtual conference. But if I speak only in Igbo, some people may not understand. So language is key to understanding one's history. It brings people together and bind them. Now, Why is it important that we go back to storytelling as a means to transfer values? It is important because stories, as I mentioned earlier, I used to teach different things like family history, business ethics, deep secrets, and national values. It can also be used to influence societal behavior. At the moment, the Igbo is losing the very fabric of what makes them Igbo, which is discipline, leadership, hard work, honesty, integrity, and other unique qualities. If you pay attention, you will realize that the media does not report our history anymore. Rather, they create, their own perspective. It means that we now live according to other people's perceptions and stories. Even when we write our story these days, we seek validation to gain acceptance. We produce our films to suit the Western audience. If we don't, we may not gain recognition. So we witness distortions here and there. We have given up our religion, our tradition, our way of living, our food, our way of dressing, almost everything. At the end of the day, we are losing who we are. And when you lose who you are, you lose influence. Now, how many of us have told our children about our ancestral history? By the way, and this is very important, African ancestors are not demons like we are made to believe. They are dead grandpas and grandmas resting in peace. So we need to go back and learn the things they did right. They must have done some things right, because how come life was much saner and peaceful in their time, right? So it's about time we understand that everyone's culture is valid. The notion that African culture is barbaric is something that was designed to colonize us. And I want to tell you not to be disgusted by your culture. Don't despise your values and stories. Own them. They are beautiful. We have to hand down traditions and customs to the next generation, even if it's the last thing we do. We are in that place where we must revive our values and reintegrate them into our society through the school system. This is the only way, in my opinion, Igbo will begin to know about real development and progress. I think it's about time we stop behaving anyhow and begin to hold decision makers in every Igbo town accountable. And we must stop, electing men and women of questionable characters into offices. The easiest way to regain our land and heritage and tradition is by sharing our values through storytelling. We must bring back programs like Tales by Moonlight to our TV stations and support and encourage indigenous films, documentaries, and literature. Our pride and identity as Ndi Igbo are ingrained in the narratives we tell ourselves and the world, and our narratives can only be found in our unique stories. Finally, recent happenings around the world where borders and embassies were closed because of the pandemic is saying to us, Ndi Igbo, that although the world is a global village, the future is local. Let us look within, find our story, revive our history, and own them. Daalonu.